Imagine a force of nature so fast and so disciplined that they could conquer more land in 25 years than the Romans did in 400. Imagine a single group of nomadic horsemen who united the frozen forests of Siberia with the rice paddies of China, the mountains of Persia, and the gates of Europe. This was the Mongol Empire. They are often remembered simply as barbarians or hordes, but that image is dangerously incomplete. Beneath the thundering hooves was a sophisticated system of free trade, religious tolerance, and international diplomacy that effectively restarted the world. Today we're looking at how a boy born in poverty on the Mongolian steppe became the architect of the modern world. Imagine a world where the map is drawn in blood and hoofprints. It is the 13th century. From the vast, wind-swept steppes of Central Asia, a force emerges that defies every law of medieval warfare. They don't just conquer cities, they vaporize empires. In less than a century, they built the largest contiguous land empire in human history, stretching from the gates of Vienna to the shores of the Pacific. They were the Mongols. To their enemies, they were the scourge of God. To history, they were the architects of the modern world. Today, we explore the rise, the reign, and the enduring legacy of the greatest cavalry force to ever thunder across the earth. The Mongols were nomadic pastoralists, forged by the brutal climate of the Mongolian plateau. Life on the steppe meant constant competition for grazing land, creating a society of unparalleled survivalists. Every child learned to ride before they could walk. Every man was a hunter, and every hunter was a soldier. In 1206, a visionary leader named Temujin united the warring tribes. He was proclaimed Genghis Khan, the universal ruler. He transformed a collection of rival clans into a meritocratic, disciplined war machine. At its height, the Mongol Empire spanned over 9 million square miles. It encompassed modern-day Mongolia, China, Russia, Iran, Iraq, Central Asia, and parts of Eastern Europe. They controlled the entire Silk Road, creating a unified economic zone that spanned nearly the entire breadth of the Eurasian continent. To understand the Mongols, you must understand their warfare. They were not barbarians in the traditional sense, they were masters of military science. The Mongol army was entirely horse-based. A single Mongol warrior could travel up to 80 miles in a day, a speed unmatched by any army until the invention of the motorized vehicle. Their signature tactic, the feigned retreat, involved pretending to flee in panic, drawing enemy lines out of formation, only to wheel around and annihilate them with a rain of composite bow arrows. Their bows were technological marvels, capable of piercing armor at 200 yards. The Mongols used fear as a tactical weapon. If a city surrendered, it was spared and often prospered. If it resisted, it was leveled. By systematically destroying cities that defied them, the Mongols ensured that future conquests happened through negotiation rather than siege. Enjoying the video? Please drop us a like on the video. Once the dust settled, the Mongols created the Pax Mongolica, a century of peace across Eurasia. By securing the Silk Road, they made it safe for a merchant to travel from Beijing to Venice, carrying a golden plate on his head without fear of theft. They established the YAM, the world's first high-speed postal relay system, which allowed messages to travel across the empire at incredible speeds. It is a mistake to view the Mongols solely as destroyers. Their impact on the modern world is fundamental, irreversible, and everywhere. The Mongols acted as the middlemen of the medieval world. They forcibly relocated engineers, doctors, astronomers, and scholars from one end of the empire to the other. Persian astronomers worked in China. Chinese engineers built siege engines in the Middle East. This massive cross-pollination of ideas directly fueled the Renaissance in Europe. Technology like paper, the compass, gunpowder, and printing moved from east to west under the Mongol umbrella. The reach of the Mongols was biological as well as political. Genetic studies suggest that roughly 0.5% of the current world population, some 16 million men, share a Y chromosomal lineage descending from Genghis Khan. His bloodline is arguably the most successful in human history. The Mongols essentially created the modern borders of several nations. They unified China under the Yuan dynasty, ending centuries of fragmentation. They laid the administrative foundations for the modern Russian state, as the local princes, initially tax collectors for the Mongols, consolidated power and eventually rose to form the Tsardom. Even the concept of a unified Iran and the cultural identity of various Central Asian states can be traced back to the Mongol administrative divisions. The same trade routes that brought silk and spices also carried the Yersinia pestis bacteria. The Black Death traveled along the Mongol trade networks into the heart of Europe. While the devastation was apocalyptic, the resulting labor shortage effectively ended the feudal system, shifted economic power, and accelerated the transition into the modern capitalist era. No empire can rule the world forever. Upon the death of Genghis Khan, the empire was divided among his sons and grandsons into 4 major khanates: the Golden Horde in Russia, the Ilkhanate in the Middle East, the Chagatai Khanate in Central Asia, and the Yuan dynasty in China. Over time, these khanates became culturally distinct. The Mongols in Persia converted to Islam. The Mongols in China adopted Buddhism and became emperors in the Chinese tradition. Eventually, the empire fractured into internal civil wars, and the center could not hold. By the late 14th century, the Mongol grip on the world slipped away. The Mongol Empire was a violent meteoric explosion that burned through the fabric of history. They were responsible for some of the greatest massacres of the pre-modern age, yet they also created the first era of true international commerce, religious tolerance, and technological exchange. The Mongols forced the world to connect. They broke down the walls that kept civilizations in isolation and paved the road for the globalized world we inhabit today. When you look at a map, when you use a compass, or when you study history, you are looking at the remnants of their work. The Mongol Empire fell, but the world it created remains. The storm they unleashed did not just pass, it changed the climate of human history forever. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please support us with a like and comment.